Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and I'm back with another review. Sorry it's been a bit. Had kind of a shitty sleep schedule, so excuse me, and I haven't been feeling that spark. Um, but I'm back with the review, and this time I saw Uglies. It was a 2024 dystopian sci-fi thriller uh, drama film directed by McG, and it stars Joey King, Brienne Shu, Keith Powers, Chase Stokes, and Laverne Cox. In this film, in a futuristic dystopia with enforced beauty standards, a teen awaiting mandatory cosmetic surgery embarks on a journey to find her missing friend. So, what did I think of Uglies? So, I saw the overwhelming dislike online for this film. I don't know if it's due to drama. I don't know. I'll get to something I found, but it doesn't really. It's not like a confirmed thing, so it kind of seems like needless drama for no reason. But my personal thoughts on it, I think it's okay. I was kind of debating giving this a 7. I landed on a 6 because while there are things that I can appreciate about this and things that I did legitimately think were interesting, the film overall is kind of bland, and it feels very been there, done that. But also, this is a spoiler review because I got to talk about the plot in depth. So spoilers. Let me get to the cast. Joey King plays Tally. She's this girl awaiting her surgery to become a pretty instead of being an ugly, like the title. Joey King is an actress I've been kind of up and down about because I saw that people liked her in Bullet Train. I saw Bullet Train. I think it's a decent enough movie, but it didn't really like hit me as much as a lot of people. I didn't think the action was so as fantastic as people were saying it was. Um and I thought Brad Pitt was kind of muted. But Joey King I thought did a decent job in that, doing the accent and everything. Uh I don't remember minding her in Ramona and Beezus. I did not like her at all in The Lie or Wish Upon. But yeah, like I don't think she's a bad actress. I think she's just had a bit of a rocky start in her career and she needs the right director. Here she's fine enough. She works as the lead. Um Brian Chu plays Shay, who's kind of this misfit kid. I liked her. I found her to be the most interesting character, really, especially over Tally, because she's kind of a blank slate in a lot of ways. Um, Keith Powers plays David. He's kind of the leader of this group that's trying to fight back against the pretties, and I mean they're considered uglies, but they're outcasts, and they're like growing their own food and everything. I didn't mind him. I think we needed to learn a bit more about him though. Chase Stokes plays Paris, who is at first a good friend of Tally, but once he becomes a pretty, he's kind of forgetting about her and all that. I can see what they were trying to do with this character. I don't think it's built up enough. It feels very rushed in what it's trying to do. But I can understand what they're trying to do. Chase Stokes was fine enough. And Laverne Cox plays Dr. Cable. She's this she's basically our villain. While she doesn't have a lot of screen time, I think Laverne Cox does a good job playing a villainous character. I enjoyed her in the film Jolt with Kate Beckinsale, um, but I haven't seen a lot with her in it. But the stuff I have seen her in, I do think she is a talented actress, and it's always nice to find uh, trans actresses that are actually good. But so this film's premise is not inherently bad. In the future, everybody that, well, it's kind of flawed in the fact that it's trying to be like, the reason our society will eventually collapse is because of fossil fuels, which is kind of an overdone thing. Dystopia in dystopian fiction is fossil fuels killed everything, and now we've done something to remedy things, but that thing didn't actually remedy it, it made it worse. And basically, all of these children, once they turn 16, they can get a surgery to become pretties, which means they're now perfect. And some of them end up becoming soldiers to kill off these people who are living in the colony with David. This immediately reminded me of a film. Let me grab it real quick. It reminded me of this, The Host, with Saoirse Ronan, Jake Abel, Max Irons, Francis Fisher. A lot of great people in this. Diane Kruger was the villain, and she was easily the most interesting part of it. And the villain here, I mean, at least with that film, I can say that they tried to give the villain an actual arc. So some of the things that happened in the film felt like they meant something. Here, I think a lot of the issues with this film are due to certain things not feeling built up enough. A lot of it feels very stale because they don't build it up enough. It's because you've got the ideas of, oh, up until your 16th birthday, you're choosing your perfect face, and then they'll turn you into that. And of course, I mean, everybody knows this is such an easy thing to see coming. Oh, wait. It's kind of a racism allegory, I guess, or a class thing, because the first time, um, I'm already forgetting the names. The first time Paris sees Tally when she doesn't have the pretty thing, and he does, he acts kind of disgusted by her, and I'm like, okay, I knew this was coming. He gets it first, so it did, yeah. It's very obvious. You could see it from a mile away. Also, the actor playing the 16-year-old is 32, which, like, yeah, born in 1992. How old is Joey King? That's what I want to know. Yeah, she's not even near that. She's 2 years older than me, so she's 25. She works in that role. I don't think he does at all, like, age-wise. Because the rest of the actors look fine for, like, they work as 16. And I'm glad they didn't try to do anything weird, any weird sexual shit. I'm glad. But yeah, uh, there's a lot. There's a lot with this film. Because again, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate the experience of watching it. It's just that I can see what there is, and I can see what probably is a lot better fleshed out in the book, and here it's very rushed. This film is only 102 minutes, and 12 of that is credits. No post-credit scene. This film very abruptly ends at 90 minutes. Right when you think that there's going to be this big, like, finale. And the finale we get is very underwhelming, and I think McG is trying for a sequel, and I don't know, maybe he got a deal with Netflix. McG is not an unknown director. He's done a lot of big hits, but he usually doesn't have the best of a track record with ratings on those films, and I'll get to that. But I'd say my biggest issue is that a lot of the characters feel underdeveloped, and even when you get the characters who aren't horribly developed, they're still kind of stale. And again, I don't hate the main character, but she doesn't have anything about her that sticks out. She feels almost exactly like the main character of The Host. And Saoirse Ronan, I would not blame for that. Also, this is directed by Andrew Niccol, who did In Time, who did Anon, which I haven't seen. This film also feels a lot like In Time. It feels like this. It feels like Maze Runner, Hunger Games. It feels very similar in that the villains' motivations are very similar, and it's like keeping people in this class. In Time, it's time is money, so the people with the most time have the most money, and there's a lot of jokes about that. And it's that's what it is. This film is not bad, I don't think. I don't think it's outright bad because there is clearly a lot of work that went into this. But it just feels very flawed in its execution, and it doesn't work as well as it should. Um, but yeah, there's many plot points that feel very out of nowhere, or they kind of just get dropped. A good example, again, I said spoilers. The introduction of Pretty Paris is kind of brushed off pretty quick, and Paris doesn't have much of a character other than we see him and our main character like on the roof of the like apartments, and they talk. And weird thing, I don't remember where mine is. They're using like futuristic goggles, and it's they're using futuristic goggles, and they're literally the ones that you can buy off Temu or AliExpress. I know because I own some. And I knew because they had this little black piece of like spandex wrapping the side of them, and it just looked so cheap to see that in a movie like this, which probably has a decent budget given the really decent CGI work, which I'll get to. But that was a bit distracting to me. Later on, there's a crossbow that apparently these characters made, but it looks just like my crossbow up there that I got for. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same one that I got for like $20. That one over there. See? Like if you look in the movie and look at that one, like it I'm pretty sure it's the same one. But yeah, there's that. There's the death. I'm guessing in the sequel they'll tease Paris coming back and be like, "Oh, he fell to the water, but he's fine." But there's this like moment where it's supposed to be like, "Oh, he's remembering the main character just as he's about to die, and then he dies," and then they just kind of brush it off. And I'm like, okay, I could care if you weren't constantly playing this pop music. Like the pop music in this isn't as terrible as it could have been, but it's still very distracting during a lot of scenes. Like there's a pop song playing when they're trying to infiltrate the compound, and the compound stuff isn't as interesting as I thought it would be. Um, and what else? Yeah, the villain is very underdeveloped. Again, I like I do like fucking Laverne Cox. Well, I do like Laverne Cox as an actress, and I do think she's doing a good job playing the villain, but she doesn't have enough screen time to make her feel like an actual villain. She kills one of the main character's parents. That's about all you have for this character, is her putting up a front and one scene where she truly gets to be, I guess, a villain. And I mean, I'll give them that. They killed off one of the main character's parents, but they also weren't very well established. This film has a lot of needless exposition, and it needed a better way to get that through. Um, and Tally is a very blank slate character. I don't know if I'd say she's a Mary Sue. She might be close, but she does learn a lot of stuff really easily. There's not a lot of like build up to her being a badass by the end. So especially given how abrupt the end is, and I'll talk about the ending. But Oh yeah, a lot of the cast that are supposed to be the uglies are. I know this is something you could debate is done on purpose, but a lot of the uglies, the actors are not ugly at all. Just straight up. Like, Joey King is not ugly. Not my type, but she's not ugly. Neither is Chase Stokes. Neither is Brienne Chu. And they try to make it seem like there's this big transformation when they get pretty, but Chase Stokes' character's change isn't really that much of a change. His hair's blonde now and he has different colored eyes. That's about it. There's not much facial modification other than a little bit of makeup. And it's the same with Brienne Chu's character. She doesn't look that different, and to be honest, she looks a lot better. Both of pretty much every character that goes through it looked a lot better before because they look more normal, more average. I mean, maybe that's a personal thing. Maybe the point was to be like, okay, these people are already pretty, but now they're perfect. Maybe that's the point. But I think this would have been a good opportunity to hire actors that may have been a bit more unknown, or I don't know, maybe just homelier actors. I hate to say it in that way, but it that's what needed to be done here. You needed actors that you could be like, okay, you could say they're ugly, but they just look normal. But yeah, most of the actors here are like, the fucking actor for Chase Stokes looks like a model. Like, let me see. Apparently he's not. Apparently he was in Outer Banks and Stranger Things, but I didn't watch those. Well, I mean, I watched a little bit of Stranger Things, didn't like it, but yeah, he just looks like a straight up model. So I just don't think it works. Also, I don't know if this is on purpose or not. The villain being played by Laverne Cox, I don't know if the villain themselves or herself is supposed to be trans. And I looked online and apparently other people picked up on this. If this is what they're going for, it's whatever, but the villain being trans and being like turning children into what they're supposed to look like, I don't know if there's supposed to be some hidden message about transgenderism or something. I'm not sure. Maybe a lot of us are looking too much into it. That's very possible. I look into weird shit. But it did stick out to me this time. And a lot of things like that don't usually stick out to me. So maybe that's the point. I don't know. Will Laverne Cox did her best with what she was given. Um, but the audio editing at times is pretty rough, and there's certain lines, especially there's a line where our main character and Brienne Chu's character are talking to each other after doing the like hoverboard thing, and there's a very obvious cut in the audio where it's clearly ADR, and they cut it really abruptly, so it doesn't have enough time to feel natural. That happens a couple times in the movie, and I've noticed it a lot with Netflix films. I don't know if it's a budget thing. I don't know if it's a laziness thing, but I feel like I might have seen that in another McG movie, maybe 3 Days to Kill, but I just wasn't a fan of having to hear that. But yeah, again, McG did The Babysitter, Killer Queen. I remember liking The Babysitter. Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle. Um, 3 Days to Kill, This Means War, Terminator Salvation. He's done quite a bit. But his direction here is fine. But I do want to say what I did genuinely. Well, I'll say what I like and then I'll talk about the ending. I think the cast overall isn't that bad. They do their roles fine. I don't think anybody is super weak in their performance. I think, again, Laverne Cox plays a fun enough villain to hate. If they do a sequel, I am kind of curious how they'll finish this, even if I wasn't huge on this. The CGI overall, I think, is It's a bit up and down, but for the most part, I think it works well enough and blends enough with the actors to create some decent set pieces, like when Joey King's character is headed to. I've just started calling them the actor names. I don't care anymore. Wait, when she's heading to the society with the other people, there's some decent fun to be had during that. The hand-to-hand fight scenes a couple times in this movie are not well done, though. McG excuse me. I think McGee has kind of just forgotten how to do fights at this point because Charlie's Angels, I remember, had some decent looking fights. But yeah. Um, and the story, again, the idea is very interesting. Again, this film. I might look at this again sometime. But I think it's. The story could have been done better, but I think it's an interesting thing to try to build on. I've never read the book again, but yeah. But the ending. The ending is a big cliffhanger, I think, where or it's supposed to be kind of open-ended where after Petrus or whatever the fuck the guy that she had a crush on falls into the waterfall, they end up going away from the building after it started blowing up and or it was on fire, it didn't blow up, but um she decides to sacrifice herself to see if the cure works. She takes the cure, I think. And after she goes through the whole surgery thing, she walks up to a window, answers the questions of this thing, and then looks down at her hand and sees that the cut on her hand is still there, meaning that I guess the cure worked. And I guess we're gonna have to wait for a sequel if it does come to see what happens next. So, like, the ending isn't horrible, it's just very abrupt because it feels like they're building up to this epic climax. And it just kind of falls flat for me. But, yeah, it's whatever. But, yeah. The film is okay. I can see why people don't like it. Is it a 1.4 out of 5 bad, though? Fuck no. There are much worse movies than this. But, yeah. That was my review of Uglies. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, put them down there as well. And movie reviewer next door.